So I wanted to do an update about the story I covered in my last video, which is these children from Covington High School that were waiting for a bus that were accosted by these black Israeli nationalists and then a Native American activist group, and the media smeared them. So further info that's coming out from this, as predicted, as everyone knew would happen. Many celebrities, media personalities have called on these people to have violence against them. We've had people from CNN saying they had punchable faces or they should be punched. We've had rappers saying they should be attacked. We've had people like Kathy Griffin saying to dox them, all sorts of things. And as predicted, statements from the main kid and some others there have showed that they have been doxxed. Not only was this kid doxxed, but another kid with the last name Hodges. There's now an email that came forth from his brother. He wasn't even the person pictured, yet he was accused of being that person, so his family was doxxed. And they're saying that both the families of these kids are saying that they've received death threats, their businesses have been attacked, universities have been called that the kid had thought about applying to, and we're told not to take the kid because he's racist, and other things like that. As predicted, this is what happened. This is what we live in now. This is society, particularly when it comes to left-wing causes. They're always demanding all these boycotts. They're taking things out of context. They're doxing people, demanding that we go after them. And this was predicted long ago when we started hearing that all the media talking about the noble people in Antifa, the noble people fighting fascists. Yes, it's good to go. Yes, we need to punch Nazis. Who was there? I was there saying all along with many other smart people, no. This is horrible. Once you justify this type of violence, once you say these people are so evil that we could do anything to them, then you're a small step away from saying, oh, and now I'll just label anyone I don't like as evil. That's exactly what we see happens here. Now it turns out that even though, as my last video showed, the story was actually in reverse and these kids did almost nothing wrong, they're being victimized. And it's too late. So one of the things I've seen discussing this, you still see it being spread on Facebook, the original clip, and I've been discussing on other social media sites and people in real life, and I hear all kinds of comments like this. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what any of the videos showed. That smirk of that kid is white supremacy. They were chanting. Some of them were chanting, like doing the tomahawk like the Braves thing. They're all white supremacists. This is proof. Trump's a racist. They probably shouted, build the wall. Of course, there's no video evidence of that. We keep hearing all the activists, the Native American activists saying, yes, they were chanting build the wall. We've had like 5-6 videos now. Not one of them show anyone chanting build the wall. But we just have to take that at face value. These kids are racist. Do you see why when I talk about cultural Marxism all the time and identitarian politics, why they're so terrible? And I'm told all the time by people in the left, that's a lie. Cultural Marxism, that doesn't exist. Yes, it does. It's called intersectionality. It's all through academia. It's all through the democratic platform. It does exist, but these people, no, you're blowing it out of proportion. It doesn't exist. It's the same people that told us that we have to believe all women. Why? Just because they're gender. Because their gender is women, we have to believe them. And therefore, you have to suspect all men, I guess. If a woman accuses them, proof be damned. We saw that in the Kavanaugh case. We saw that they were willing to throw out the due process and the right of innocent until proven guilty. That was the number one thing I was saying on this channel. Why you should not vote for Democrats, because that is a foundational document of this country. The idea of due process and innocent until proven guilty. They want to dispense away with that. We see that with these kids. Even when the facts come out that show that of the three groups, which I'll get to in a second, they are the least guilty of doing anything, doesn't matter. Because their skin color. Because their political affiliation. That's all that matters. That is the society that these left-wing identitarian politics pushing people want to put us in. It doesn't matter what you do as an individual. Now, here are the three groups involved, just to do a quick rehash. You had these kids that were waiting for a bus, supposedly. For about an hour, they were accosted by these black Hebrew Israelites. They're, I don't know much about them other than they seem kind of like the Fred Phelps type people where they're just calling people sodomites, saying they look like skill shooters, using the N-word, calling people crackers, making homophobic slurs, calling them sodomites, saying that America is going to be destroyed, saying that these kids were going to harvest their black schoolmates' organs. All kinds of vile, disgusting crap. By the way, chanting at the Native Americans, too. That the reason they were defeated is because they worship an owl and totem poles and things like that. This group went on for an hour. They're definitely the worst behaved group. Now, the Native American group, what the story that's now being spun, one of the excuses I've been seeing is, but look, even if that group was bad, it's still the kids were terrible, and the Native American man, he was just going up there to say a prayer for peace. Well, that's not what the Native American man, his name's Phillips, said to media outlets. He said that the children were a mob, were beasts that were attacking these African Americans. That is 100% a lie, and he knows it. He was there. He knows that the kids were just standing idly by, chanting like school chants because they were getting drowned out and attacked for an hour by these racist black people that were insulting children. He knows that. He saw it. Yet he told the media the exact opposite. So if you were being insulted, as this native group was, by these black people as well, and you really wanted to stop hate, as Mr. Phillips says, wouldn't you march up to them? But instead they walk right past this black nationalist, who then, the black nationalists are cheering on the Native American, and go right into this kid's face and right into that group, because they wanted to provoke a confrontation. Because it wasn't about stopping bigotry or saying a prayer for peace. It was about getting a public optic that showed evil white kids in MAGA hats are being rude to Native Americans. And that's the story that everyone ran with. Of the three groups, and keep in mind, this man got in the kid's face, beat a drum. His cohort that was with him starts screaming racial epithets at the kids, saying they're all white and need to go back to Europe. One of the kids then starts arguing back with this person, not saying anything rude, but just trying to argue with him. And actually the kid in question, the main kid, tries, because he doesn't want a confrontation, as he said in his statement. Did the man beating the drum look at the person next to him that was on his side saying racist things to these kids and say, please stop, this is a prayer for peace. Stop escalating this. No, of course not. He kept banging the drum in the kid's face. Then when the bus came and the kids left, he cheered like he'd won some victory. He lied and said that he feared for his safety and that kid blocked his escape. That's not true. He walked right up to that kid. Yes, not all of those kids may have been engaged in 100% the best action, but of the three groups, the native activists, the black activists, and the kids acted the most adult. The kids acted with the most dignity. They're the only group I haven't heard yell any racial epithets. They're the only group that didn't invade someone's space like that. But yet the media, this is what the society is. The media is complicit in this. Trump's right when he talks about when stuff like this happens, the media is the enemy of the people. They want tribal conflict. They understand, the Democratic Party understands they don't have policies. They need to pick groups up, use identitarian politics and cultural Marxism. It doesn't matter what the truth is. You see this over and over. These kids are guilty because they're white, because they had Trump hats on, because they're Christian. And the whole story, even if you believe that these kids are crappy, wouldn't you say, yeah, the kids are crappy, but my God, these black activists. I mean, straight up homophobia and racism, even directed at the Native Americans. That's terrible. No, none of the people calling for the kids' head bothered to say that. Or if they do, it's an aside. Oh yeah, by the way, the black people, that was bad too. Why? Because it's the same reason they go after a song like Baby It's Cold Outside, but they don't go after rap. See, black people are oppressed. So we shouldn't call out their bigotry. It doesn't matter what the facts and the reality is. All that matters is the racial groups that these people belong to, the political groups that they belong to. The narrative in these people's head is white people evil. These kids, they're smarking. It's white privilege. It's racism. You can see all the articles. Just look. And so they are gone after. And this native man, well, he's an elderly Native American gentleman. He has to be. He's noble. He handled it with such grace and dignity. Really? Reverse the racism. Have two white guys go up to two Native Americans wearing an Obama shirt, beating a drum in their face. One of the white guys yells for them to go back where they came from and making racial epithets to them. Let's see how noble that white elderly gentleman with the drum scene is then. That would be considered assaulting children. But because he's Native American, oh, graceful, noble. I know this is hard to believe for some people, but you could be a scummy Native American. You could be a scummy older gentleman. You could be a scummy minority. It's possible. Or you could be great. Or it's possible to be a privileged white kid with a MAGA hat and not be a scumbag. That's possible too. I know that's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing to people. They can't. What do you mean? That's impossible. These groups are oppressors. White, that's oppressor. Male, that's oppressor. MAGA hat, that's oppressor. Christian, oppressor. Elderly Native American gentleman, oppressed, oppressed, oppressed. It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter what the black activist said. They're oppressed. They're allowed to be bigots. They're allowed to be racist. The truth doesn't matter. It's their truth. Remember in the Kavanaugh hearings, you kept hearing people like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker saying, well, it's Miss Ford's truth. It's her truth. See, the actual truth doesn't matter. And it's because this cultural Marxism is rooted in postmodernism, where there is no truth. All truth is subjective. That's it. This is exactly the game they're playing, which I've been talking about. And I hear people all day when I've been talking about that, cultural Marxism doesn't exist. Then I hear, the kid smirk. That's clearly a racist smirk. I've had people straight up tell me, I would have punched him in the face. I mean, I said, you mean if he was an adult and did that? No, I'd punch him in the face. What did you expect him to do? What was that kid just particularly, what was he supposed to do? People say he acted shamefully. What was he supposed to do? A guy came up and banged a drum in his face. Was he supposed to grovel and say, I'm so sorry, I'm white. I'm so sorry I have this hat on. Please forgive me. I know based on my race I was born corrupt and immoral. Please forgive me. Yes, I know that your friend's yelling racial epithets at me and we just listened to racists yell at us for an hour, but it's all our fault. We're white. We understand that. Then maybe the kid would have only been a little bit of a bigot. He's still a bigot, I'm assuming. Only by groveling and self-flagellation could he have escaped this. What was he supposed to do? Plow through the crowd that was behind him of the kids waiting for the bus? Try to get in his hands and knees and crawl out of there? Nope. No one knows exactly what he's supposed to do. We just know that smirk was evil. It was racist. Meanwhile, look at how the Parkland students were treated. We had all these people on the left. All these people were saying was like, look, they suffered a tragedy, that's terrible, but that doesn't mean they understand these policy implications of what they're suggesting. And people were said, how dare you? We need to boycott sponsorship. You can't go after these kids. How dare you? But in this case, we could have black activists shout racial epithets at kids for an hour. Then we could have a Native American get in their face while his buddy yells racial epithets. Then have that Native American lie and smear them to the media. Then have those people get doxxed and say, these kids doxxed and say they should be punched in the face by the same people that said you couldn't touch the Parkland students. Now, what's the difference? Both were teenagers. In fact, this teenager is younger than most of the Parkland students that were activists. What's the difference? Oh, because they're conservative. That's the difference. That's what the game is. The double standards, the hypocrisy, it's sickening. And remember this, if you're independent and you're going out there to vote, first off, if you spread this story, look, I get it. That's what people do on social media, fine. But if you did, you should correct yourself. And if you're still spreading it, you're a terrible person. You just are. It's garbage. You're trying to destroy kids' lives over nothing. They handled it better than I would have. I know that. If people started screaming racist comments to me, I don't think I would have, when I was that age, I don't think I would have handled it as well as they did. And I don't think anyone, if they were honest with, if it was the other way, if it was black students having white racists yell at them, people would say, they should have attacked them. How did these kids, I can't believe that they suffered that abuse. What noble heroes. But no, instead now, with the racists reversed, they get doxxed, they get harassed. You know? It's just, so if you did spread it, I'm not saying you're bad because you put it on, but you should apologize. Anyone who put it on Facebook or anything. Some of the media is backtracking, but most of them aren't apologizing. A few are, and that's good. But why did they jump to that conclusion in the first place? Because they're biased. Because they want to think white people are evil. That's the game they want to spread. They want to spread the Democrat talking points. They want to play identitarian politics. That's the idea. It's going to get worse. There's going to be a backlash. The identity politics saying white evil, male evil, male evil. Inevitably, there's going to be a backlash from those groups. That's exactly what people want. Once the backlash comes, that'll be, see, we knew all along. See, they are evil. We pushed and shoved them for years and years and years. We doxed them. We went after their children. We said they were disgusting, 10-toothed racist. If they voted for Trump, they're racist, deplorable, disgusting. They hate brown people. They hate brown hordes. Just provoking. Want some kind of reaction. A smirk. That's all it took. Oh, did you see that smirk? Whoa, did you see that smirk? The kid got yelled racial names for an hour, called homophobic names, said he looked like a school shooter, was going to harvest the organs of the black student that was with him. And then he smirked. Oh my God! Go after them, ruin his life. And the story, it upset. You could tell I'm a little upset about it. It's because I'm watching regular people that are my friends that are like, yes, go after these kids. Absolutely, what they did was wrong. Tell me what they should have done. Now, that's just me. Where the kids that were chanting, some of them doing the tomahawk, was that entirely appropriate? No, not really. But even that's not as bad as what the Native American activists did, and certainly not as bad as the black activists did. But we have to ignore that. They're noble, they're oppressed, they're minorities. We have to ignore that. This is all about white privilege, don't you understand? It's going to get bad. Someone's going to get hurt. And we've already seen it. There's tons of incidents of people wearing MAGA hats getting beaten. Remember the mentally handicapped gentleman that got kidnapped by 3 blacks that cut his head and tortured him and talked about how it was for Trump doing it? Well, we just bury that story. That's okay if something happens to these kids. Small price to pay to point out that white people are all evil, that all Trump supporters are racist. How many people have I seen say, well, they were wearing that hat. They were wearing a MAGA hat. That's a symbol of racism. It's the Klan hood. That's what Melissa Milano said. You might as well have been wearing a Klan hood. So now we're back to the, I guess they asked for it. These kids asked for it based on how they were dressed. I thought the left argued against that correctly for years now. Nope. Just like everything, hypocrites, as soon as it could benefit them, bam, they jump right on it. There's a word for people that say that people are right or wrong despite facts based on what race they are. That's called racist. That's what these people are. And it's on MLK Day of all days, right? Right before that we see it happen. Forget judging by the content of character. That doesn't matter. We see that in this story. It's all about the race, baby. That's what it's about. So, yeah, be careful out there. Things are going to get worse before they get better. It'll take some tragedy before people wake up. That's what's going to happen. So, yeah, the big takeaways is, some people have corrected this. Many have just deleted their tweets. Others are still going with the lie. There are people still saying this is about white racism. It's a lie. The black group acted most terribly. The Native American activists second most terribly by lying to the media about all sorts of stuff, including that the white kids were attacking the black activists, which is a total lie, including that the white kid in question blocked the exit, which was a total lie. Approached a kid, got in his face, had his cohort yell racial epithets at them. Some of the kids didn't act in the best way, but again, that group, the kids group, acted far better than the other two groups, and yet they need to be attacked because Trump bad and racism. So, whatever. If you like this video, like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll be doing more later, so have a good one.